Why is the Kawhi-LeBron matchup so difficult for King James?
Kawhi Leonard checks in the game as LeBron James is shooting a free throw.
That face?
He was not happy about that, Woj.
LeBron James says that Kawhi is the best defender. He's best at defending LeBron.
Shot the ball extremely well. Every year you gain more and more confidence. Guys, give you confidence, and he played extremely well.
He's a young player who's grown up in this league. Everyone, knows he's what Coach Park said. He's the future of this team, and he did an unbelievable job of playing the role they needed him to play.
You are the 2014 Bill Russell MVP.
The day a 22-year-old Kawhi Leonard destroyed prime LeBron James and Dwayne Wade was the day that Kawhi officially transcended his role from athletic, do-it-all defensive role player to an all-time great, unstoppable two-way monster. And it was way back in the 2014 NBA Finals. And people will say, oh, LeBron still got his numbers, average 28. Well, you just wait and see. Because if you see prime LeBron's numbers while being guarded by a 22-year-old Kawhi, well, his Finals MVP will never be questioned again.
2013 NBA champion, the back-to-back Miami Heat champions.
The Heatles, arguably one of the greatest teams of all time, spearheaded by two of the greatest players of all time, Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Dwayne Wade, coming off of his 9th straight All-Star appearance, one of the best and most clutch players in the league, a Finals MVP himself back in 2006, and the bona fide third-best shooting guard in the history of the sport.
To me, you're the greatest unselfish superstar that's ever played in this game.
Averaging 20 points in the 2013 Finals, he was the Robin, one of the greatest Robins in the history of the league. Because the Batman of the team was, of course, LeBron James. 2013 LeBron James specifically. 4-time MVP, 2 times Finals MVP at the time. The best player in the league at the time. And it wasn't even close. Arguably the greatest version of any player in the league ever. These two superstars united in 2010. And despite a rough start in 2011, they were as dominant as promised, peaking in 2013 with a stacked roster backing them. They looked unstoppable. At least until the Finals came, where they had to face this team, the San Antonio Spurs, with Tim Duncan on his last legs and TP and Manu at the tail end of their primes. They were still going hella strong. 2nd seed in the West. They were playing peak Spurs team basketball. Gave the Miami Heat a hell of a final series, after just losing 2 games in the playoffs prior to the Finals. In fact, they were seconds away from clinching the series in Game 6. Until, of course,
James catches, puts up a 3, won't go, rebound Bosh, back out to Allen, his three-pointer, bang!
Miami, of course, went on to win Game 7 and the 2013 NBA Championship. But it seemed like the Spurs had the tools to beat them. Unselfish basketball with great defense and hustle against the Heat's heliocentric superstar basketball. They had to have the right personnel in the right roles, and they certainly did. Tony Parker as the pass-first point, Danny Green, Marco Bellinelli, and Patty Mills as the floor-spacing three-point specialists, Manu Ginobili as the whirlwind off the bench, Boris Diaw, Thiago Splitter, Matt Bonner, and Aaron Baines as the hardworking bigs who set picks, got lobs, and crashed the boards. An ancient Tim Duncan as the leader of the team and the starting power forward or center of the team. But there was an X factor in this team. A young third-year wing who was extremely promising. He had a strong, muscular frame at 6'7", with hands as big as Michael Jordan's. He was the do-it-all two-way utility player of this team. I'm, of course, talking about this man, Kawhi Leonard. He had already been to the playoffs twice back then and was already tasked to guard the best player in the world, LeBron James, as a sophomore. And he did well, really well. So well, in fact, that it produced this moment in the 2013 Finals.
And Kawhi Leonard checks in the game as LeBron James is shooting a free throw.
And that tells the whole story, really. Despite James still getting his numbers and getting the Finals MVP, Kawhi Leonard made life a living hell for the King. And through his early work, coach Greg Popovich saw the piece that, if given more opportunities and developed well, could be the key to ending this Miami Heat dynasty. Coach Pop saw in his hands the very first LeBron stopper, the Claw, Kawhi Leonard. But now it's time for the 2014 NBA Finals. There was only one way it was going to go. LeBron and Dwayne Wade dominated the Eastern Conference playoffs to make it back to what would be their last NBA Finals together. They were great throughout the regular season, having a 43-14 record in March of 2014. But they did end the season with a rather underwhelming 54-28 record. The Spurs, meanwhile, looked even better than they did last year. 62 wins, best in the league. The epitome of Spurs basketball was seen this season. The team was peaking at the right time too, having a 19-game winning streak and an unbeaten month before the playoffs. So the stage was set, the Heat versus the Spurs, a rematch of last year's war. Both teams mostly unchanged, with the Heat super team still being favorites. What's to say that the result won't just be the same, with the Heat just completing the three-peat, and the Spurs will go 0 for 2 against Miami. I'll tell you what, the development of one Kawhi Leonard.
The kick to Leonard, who attacks and finishes it away from Smith. Leads Kawhi. Oh, 3-on-2 for the Thunder. Westbrook. Oh, he skipped by Leonard. What a play by Kawhi Leonard. Look at the speed of Leonard. Great pocket to Leonard. Leonard tried to spin inside. Did all the way down. Slam dunk. Kawhi Leonard on Serge Ibaka.
Kawhi got even better in this third season from an already pretty great second season. 12.8 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and most importantly, his first selection to an all-defensive team. But the best was yet to come, because we've known Kawhi to be a playoff riser, and he's been that way ever since his early days as a Spur. He had the chance to show what he can do in the NBA Finals, against 2 of the greatest players in the history of the league. One of them being arguably the greatest of all time. It wasn't going to be easy for the then 22-year-old Kawhi, but he didn't look at it like that. He saw it as a name to write his name into the history books, alongside D-Wade and LeBron James. So, without much talking, of course, Kawhi Leonard went to work and completely destroyed LeBron and D-Wade. Offensively, he was everything the Spurs wanted, but defensively, he was what the Spurs absolutely needed.
They've won by 15 points or more, 7 straight. That's why they went to it. But with charter travel now, no reason to give the advantage to the lesser team.
Leonard, one-on-one with James. One dribble, fires, misses.
LeBron was in hell trying to carry the offensive load for the Heat. They were suddenly looking incredibly old and fatigued. The Kings still put up numbers, 28 points, 7.8 rebounds, 4 assists. But D-Wade, well, D-Wade dropped off this series, averaging just 15 points, 3.8 rebounds, and 2.6 assists on 43% from the field. This was a far cry from his all-star season of 19 PPG on 54% from the field. The Flash probably wasn't shooting it nearly as much as he should, only 9 attempts in Game 2, then just going 3 of 13 in Game 4, and 4 of 12 in Game 5. Bad shooting combined with low volume. It just wasn't a good series for him. As for their counterpart in Kawhi, well, 18 points, 6 points higher than his regular season numbers, 6.2 rebounds, and 2 assists on a pretty sensational 61% from the field and 58% from 3. More importantly, though, he was all over LeBron. Kawhi just destroyed LeBron, D-Wade, and the rest of the Miami Heat on defense.
The bottom line is it sparked the team and it came up with a big W on the road.
If people question why Kawhi was praised for his defense on LeBron, despite the King putting up 28 points, well, LeBron only shot 17% out of all his ball touches while being guarded by Kawhi, meaning that Kawhi forced him into either passing the ball or turning it over. For reference, he shot it 34% of the time when being guarded by others. At the same time, the Claw denied James the ball 35% of the time, when LeBron was denied just 25% of the time with other defenders. Another really significant number is that Kawhi kept LeBron, 2014 LeBron, from driving to the paint. Bron only drove 13% of the time when guarded by Kawhi, despite driving to the rim 22% of the time when being guarded by others. That number is particularly important when you remember how 2014 LeBron James played. All of those other factors combined just shows you how effective Kawhi was defensively against LeBron and the Heat. This series wasn't much of a fight, a far cry from the previous series. The Spurs had a chance to end it all in Game 5. So despite LeBron putting the Heat up 16 in the first quarter, Kawhi decided that there was no finals comeback this time around.
Wade goes to Duncan. Duncan offers the shot. Dion the rebound.
Tim Duncan. But I will say that left hand is on the lower body, but great job of contesting with the right hand.
Rebound Leonard. His 9th board of the game. Leonard pushes out to Ginobili. Puts it in!
22 points, 10 rebounds, and amazing defense on the 2 best players in the world at the time to close out the series. A series that was close on paper, but turned out to have the largest win-loss margin in NBA history. Kawhi Leonard, at just 22 years old, the 15th pick of the NBA draft just 3 years prior, turned out to be the catalyst to save the NBA from who were the most villainous and hated team back then. He was just a developing young role player back then, but this was a true turning point in Kawhi's career that turned him from just a starter to one of the best and most clutch two-way players in NBA history. But hey, when you help limit and even outplay Prime King and Flash, well, that happens. And the day that Kawhi Leonard destroyed Prime LeBron James and Dwayne Wade was capped off correctly.